and middle class and all, that we will see as productivity goes up and profits go up, that workers' wages will go up too. It's the American way. It's what we stand for. Nothing in our society, frankly, is more important than a prosperous middle class and what it brings to us in terms of freedom and equality. Mr. President, I yield the floor. Note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka. Debate continues today in the U.S. Senate on overhaul of the patent law. Earlier today, senators voted 87 to 13 against an amendment by California Democrat Dianne Feinstein. That amendment would have retained the current first-to-invent system for filing patents. The bill switches the country to a first-to-inventor-to-file system that's used by other industrialized nations. Debate continuing today in the U.S. Senate. Over in the House today, they're working on a bill that changes small business reporting requirements related to the new health care law. Meanwhile, underway at this hour, President Obama holding a joint news conference with Mexican President Felipe Calderon. President Obama already announcing during that news conference that the Mexican President and President Obama have came to an agreement on U.S. trucks or Mexican trucks coming onto U.S. highways. The President also in that news conference mentioned the use of U.S. military aircraft in helping in the airlift of evacuees from Libya. That news conference is underway. You can follow it live on C-SPAN 3.
President.
The senator from Missouri.
Mr. President, I ask the quorum call be set aside.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the following remarks be included in the record at the appropriate place.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I rise today to pay tribute to a patriot, a businessman, a loyal father, and an American hero. Though Leonard Truman Farrell, Buck, to his many family and friends, was laid to rest in Arlington Cemetery this morning, I know that his legacy lives on in the community he helped build, the family that he nurtured, and the soldiers with whom he served. Today, I would like to take a few minutes to honor Buck's life and contributions he made to his community. Born and raised in southeast Missouri, Buck was imbued from an early age with those unique American values so prevalent among the members of the greatest generation: integrity, service to others, determination, and an undying sense of patriotism. Since Buck's family didn't have much money growing up, he learned at a young age to live within his means and to place little value on worldly possessions. "My father didn't have a lot of worldly goods," Buck once said, "but he was a rich man in character." I know I speak for many when I say that Buck, first and foremost, was also a man rich in character. Buck was also a patriot of the highest order. Having served in the United States Army during the Korean War, he fought for 2 years on the Korean Peninsula and earned, among other decorations, the Combat Infantry Badge, the Presidential Unit Citation, 2 Silver Stars, and 2 Purple Hearts. Wounded multiple times, Buck never faltered and steadfastly manned his post, whether in a frontline foxhole or as a heavy weapons trainer for new recruits. In light of his outstanding service, Buck was even offered a battlefield commission. Though he chose not to accept the commission, Buck returned home and remained an active member in a number of veterans organizations like the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars for the rest of his life. Never forgetting the country that he fought to protect, he raised every morning an American flag in his front yard. As you can guess, Buck's dedication to others and stalwart work ethic continued long after his military service ended. For 25 years, he worked at the McCrate Equipment Store in Crothersville, Missouri, and retired as the general manager. As a member and former deacon at the First Baptist Church, Buck helped sustain a thriving congregation, and he also took on a number of leadership roles in the local Masonic Lodge and Kiwanis Club. His extensive community involvement earned him the Pioneer Heritage Award from the Pemiscot County Historical Society and recognition by the Missouri State Legislature for his enduring impact on in southeast Missouri. But even with all these commitments, Buck always had time for family. He and his wife, Patsy Malin Farrell, raised 4 wonderful children. We're the beloved grandparents to 4 grandchildren and 1 great-granddaughter. In fact, I can personally attest to the great job the Farrells did with their children. Their talented daughter, Christy, is currently an invaluable member of my staff and is seated, along with members of the Farrell family, in the gallery today. My prayers are with all of them at this time of loss. Mr. President, I ask today that my fellow senators join me in recognizing Buck Farrell, not only because he was a great Missourian, but because he embodied the true American values that have cemented American society for generations. Buck worked hard, served God, fought for his country, and loved his family. In short, he lived a life worth living. Thank you, Mr. President, and I notice the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll. Mr. Akaka.
Mr. President, oops, I ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be dispensed with.
Without objection. Under the previous order, the Senate will be in a period of morning business, with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes, with the majority controlling the first hour and the Republican.
I'm here representing 150 million women in the United States of America, and they are bewitched, bothered, and bewildered by what the United States Congress, particularly the House of Representatives, in H.R. 1, has done to women. Now, women all over America have to balance the family budgets, so they know that our United States of America needs to get its fiscal act together. They also know that we need to live in a more frugal time, so they understand that. But what they don't understand is that in H.R. 1, with what the House did, that the entire burden has come from a very limited amount in discretionary spending. When you take off defense, homeland security, a lot of guys in gear kind of stuff, women and children are actually thrown under the bus. Well, they're mad as hell, and they don't want to take it anymore. So the Democratic women today, in the hour that we've been given, are going to lay out the consequences of what H.R. 1 means. Now, we in the Senate, and we, your appropriators, of which there are many women on it, Landrieu, Feinstein, Mikulski, Murray, we know that we had to bring about fiscal discipline. We've already, in the Senate appropriations, I wonder, one of the great men of the Senate, Senator Inouye, we've already worked to reduce the appropriations in the Senate by $41 billion. Now, Mr. President, that's not beanbag. That is really meat and potatoes. So we feel we've already given it the office. But my God, enough is enough. Let me give you just top 10 reasons why H.R. 1 from the House is bad for women and children, and why we're ready to negotiate so that we don't have a shutdown of the government and we can have a final settlement on the budget for 2011. But let's just go through them. One, we defund the entire health care reform law. And I'm going to outline why that is bad for saving lives and why it's bad for saving money. It also eliminates Title X family planning money. It jeopardizes breast cancer cervical screening for more than 5 million low-income women. They even went after Head Start. Well, my God. Even little kids in Head Start had to take it on the chin. It's going to cause 218,000 children to be kicked off of it. But we go farther. For the group that says it's pro-family, family values, we've got to defend life, they slashed the nutrition programs for pregnant women by $747 million, affecting 10 million low-income pregnant women, new mothers and children. Oh, my. We also cut funding for prenatal care, and we went after after-school programs. We also looked at what it means in terms of the future. We've cut funding for Pell Grants. We terminated funding that helps schools comply with Title IX, funding for job training that it hurts over 8 million workers, many of them getting new training for the new jobs, for the new economy. And something very near and dear, I know, to the presiding officer. It went off of not after Social Security in terms of a benefit, but went after the people who work at Social Security, the Social Security offices in which they work on everything from the regular Social Security benefit to the disability benefit. If H.R. 1 passes, over 2,500 people at Social Security will be laid off. That's in my home state. They were out in the streets in front of Social Security headquarters saying, what about us? We come every day. We give you the actuarial information on how to keep it solvent. We make sure the checks are out there on time. And in snowstorms, we're showing up to make sure everything works. But at the end of the day, we're going to be told we're non-essential. Oh, hey. This whole non-essential drives me crazy because, well, ironically, what counts as essential is us. Well, if we're going to be essential, we need to get real about how we come to an agreement on this CR. So, Mr. President, we in the Senate feel we've given $41 billion already, and we think H.R. 1 just goes too far. And it goes too far by leaving so many things off the table that we can't get to the table. Now, I want to talk about health care reform. We had many goals during health care reform, one of which was to expand universal access. Again, the presiding officer has been a champion of that, a stalwart defender of the public option and a stalwart defender of the single-payer system. And as we worked on it and we came up with a compromise, what was very clear was that there were certain things that we just had to do. One was, whether you were for the public option or not, whether you're for a single-payer system or the system we have now, we knew we had to end the punitive practices of insurance companies. We know that in the health care reform bill, we also had to improve quality measures that would actually save lives and save money because of the consequences of it. And we also knew that if we had a strong preventive care benefit, that we once again, through early detection and screening, could minimize the cost to the insurance companies in the federal budget and also the terrible cost to families who face all kinds of problems, but particularly the dreaded C word, cancer. So that's why we passed the health care reform. Now, over in the House, they thought it was going to be really cool to say we couldn't repeal health care. Remember, they said repeal and replace. They've only talked about repeal because they don't know how to replace. So they decided through H.R. 1 to defund it, take the money away, defund it. So let me just outline what we think very quickly about what it means to women and children. First of all, what we did in the health care reform bill is we ended gender discrimination by the insurance companies. Right now, or right before the passage of the bill, women were charged 40% more in many instances for health care premiums related to men of comparable age and health care status. 40% more. There was a gender tax of 40% put on by the insurance companies and their premium gouging that went after us. We ended that. The second thing was the insurance companies were treating simply being a woman as a pre-existing condition. So we went to the floor, and with the great guys of the Senate, you and others here, we passed the Preventive Health Care Amendment. We wouldn't let them take our mammograms away from us. We made sure also that our children could have early detection and screening in schools and the insurance company. And also along the way, because for us it's not only about gender, it's about an agenda, we included men in these preventive health services as well. Now, if you defund, if we agree to that element in H.R. 1, we will take away the preventive health care benefits. They guarantee coverage of preventive care and screening, like mammograms for women under 50. We cannot go back. It would also repeal the quality measures like the famous Pronovost checklist, developed in Maryland by a Hopkins doc when used at just Michigan hospitals alone. A simple, low-tech way to lower in-house infections in hospitals. It saved Michigan hospitals 2,000 lives and saved the state $200 million. We can do this, Mr. President. There are so many things that were important in the health care reform bill. We cannot defend it. And as we move ahead, in what we hope will be a settlement and a negotiation. We, the women of the United States Senate, we, the Democratic women, though we will move towards a negotiated settlement, will not surrender the women and children of this country. We will not let them be thrown under the bus and run over by H.R. 1. Mr. President, I now call and yield the floor to one of our really able advocates, someone who's been a stalwart defender of child care in our country, Senator Patty Murray.
Mr. President.
Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the Senator from Maryland for being our fearless leader and making sure that women have a voice at the table for many years, and I just want to thank her for leading this important debate and discussion today about how H.R. 1 will affect women and children in this country in a very dramatic and very troubling way. You know, Mr. President, since Wall Street came crashing down on Main Street, I've been very proud to work with so many colleagues on efforts to get our economy back on track and our workers back on the job. We all know we've got a long way to go. So many families in our country today are fighting to stay in their homes. Small businesses are struggling to keep their doors open, and many of our workers are still trying desperately to find work, or they stay up at night wondering what would happen to them and their families if they're the next one to get a pink slip. So, Mr. President, that is why I am so disappointed that at the very moment that we need to be working together to invest in our future, cut spending responsibly, and support those American families, House Republicans have decided to take a slash-and-burn approach to a budget that would devastate our economy and cost us hundreds of thousands of jobs. And while many Republicans came to this Congress this year promising to work with Democrats to focus on that economy, they have now chosen instead to push their extreme anti-choice agenda of a minority of Americans who want to go farther than ever to restrict health care options for women and families. So, Mr. President, I'm here this afternoon with my Women's Senate colleagues to talk about that aspect of the budget proposal that they sent to us. Because this assault on women's health will be truly devastating if it's enacted. And this extreme agenda does nothing to further our goals of getting our economy back on track. Mr. President, the House Republican proposed budget that they sent to us completely eliminates Title X funding. That is funding for family planning and teen pregnancy prevention. And it includes an amendment that completely denied funding for Planned Parenthood. That is so wrong. It would be absolutely devastating for 3 million men and women across the country who depend on those services. You know, I recently got a letter from a woman named Elizabeth. She lives in Bellingham, Washington. She's 28 years old. Elizabeth told me that she is uninsured, and she depends on her local Planned Parenthood for her annual checkups and for family planning. She told me that cervical and breast cancer run in her family, and she doesn't know what she and her husband would do if she wasn't able to access this care that Planned Parenthood provides. Elizabeth isn't alone. I have received hundreds of letters just like hers, women telling me about the health care that they got at Planned Parenthood and the critical services that Title X allows them to access. Mr. President, Title X supports cancer screening, family planning, and preventive services for more than 5 million low-income men and women and families across this country. In my home state of Washington, more than 100,000 patients who otherwise would not have access to care are able to receive treatment thanks to these services. The House Republican plan would devastate this for women. And honestly, it just doesn't make sense. In my home state alone, family planning services at Title X funded health care centers prevent over 21,000 unintended pregnancies every year. Without these services, our states and the federal government would end up spending far more in services for low-income families over the long run. So cutting off these important programs would be wrong. And I'm going to do everything I can to stop it right here in the Senate by fighting with my women colleagues. But that's not all the House Republicans have proposed in their extreme budget. They want to slash nutrition programs for women and children by $747 million. That would end support for close to 10 million pregnant women, new moms, and infants in the country. That's not what we stand for. They want to cut funding for prenatal care by $50 million. That's going to jeopardize care for 2.5 million women and 31 million children. That's not what we stand for. They want to cut $39 million from the Child Care and Development Block Grant. That would end the child support many low-income families need so their parents can go out and work and put food on the table. That's not what this country stands for. They want to slash $1 billion from Head Start. That not only cuts off comprehensive early childhood services for nearly 1 million children, you know what else that does? It puts tens of thousands of teachers and staff out of a job. And guess what? Most of them are women. Mr. President, the House anti-family agenda is wrong, and we are not going to stand for it. We do need to cut the budget. We do need to work together to bring down the deficit, but we're not going to do it on the backs of women and children. We're going to do it responsibly. We're going to do it right. Mr. President, I've said many times on this floor, a budget is a statement of our values. It is a reflection of our priorities as a nation. And I feel very strongly that we do need to work together to invest in our future and get our economy back on track, put people back at work, make sure families get the support they need so they feel secure again. The House Republican spending fails to meet those goals. It fails our women. It fails our families. It fails our communities, and it fails our nation. So I urge my colleagues to reject the House Republican slash-and-burn approach on the backs of women and children and families and work with us to propose a responsible, long-term budget reduction plan that really reflects the values that this country stands for. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Mr. President, I now yield to the gentlelady from New York, Senator Gillibrand. Though our newest Democratic senator, she's been a strong advocate in this area. She's not new to being a strong advocate. I yield her 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you for your leadership on
Senator from New York.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to join my colleagues and speak out about the failure that is taking place on the other side of Capitol Hill right now in this Republican-controlled Congress. The election last November was not a mandate for any one political party or extreme ideology. It was a mandate for action, for solutions that will create jobs and get our economy moving again. But rather than focusing on jobs and responsible budgeting, House Republicans have engaged in an all-out assault on the health and well-being of women, children, and families in America. The American people voted overwhelmingly for debate on economic solutions that will create jobs. That's what many of my colleagues and I have been trying to focus on during this Congress. But what are the House Republicans focused on? Not creating jobs, not creating ideas for how we're going to create economic growth, but undermining the health care rights of millions of American women and families. They have an undeniable job crisis on our hands, and they are ignoring it. Unemployment is still far too high. Having a national rate of close to 10% means real unemployment is closer to 15 or 20% when you look at all those who are underemployed, working less hours, or are no longer looking for work. 22% of our youngest veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan are unemployed. That's more than 1 in 5. What are they doing to address those problems? And rather than debating the solutions for how we create this economic growth, for how we spur growth amongst small businesses, how we help our middle-class families, they are focused on degrading women's rights, basic privileges and health care, priorities and safety nets for the women and children who are most at risk in this country. They've shown a heinous disregard for the health and safety of women and young girls, and they have worked to undermine their ability to buy affordable, accessible health care. Republicans lament at length that government is too intrusive, too large, too overblown. But tell me, what is more intrusive than telling every woman in America that their decisions are going to be made right here in Congress, not by them, not by their doctors, not by their families? Let's look at the facts. The temporary budget bill that came out of that House slashes critical funding for prenatal care. That's unbelievably important care when a woman is expecting. They've cut nearly $750 million from nutrition programs for pregnant women and their children. It cuts access to life-saving breast and cervical cancer screenings for more than 5 million American women. It destroys early childhood education, taking nearly $1 billion from Head Start and nearly $40 million from child care, robbing nearly 370,000 American children from early childhood learning. They've even cut more than $2 billion from job training programs that we need to prepare America's workforce for the jobs of today and the jobs of tomorrow. What kind of priorities does that demonstrate? It demonstrates a disregard for the future of this country, for our children, for our women, for their health, their well-being, their education, for job training, for the future. This debate is also much more about where the dollar figures lie. It's about what will happen to the women and children they are now disregarding. Let's look at the single mother who has 2 jobs and needs this support to feed her children. Let's look about the young women in every state of this country who will now get cancer because they were denied those pre-cancer screenings. Let's look at the children who will never walk through the door of a university because they were denied access to the early childhood education that would have prepared them so that they could achieve their God-given potential. You cannot slash and burn your way to a healthy and growing economy. It's time that these members of the House get serious about economic growth, about our small businesses, creating access to lending, creating a tax policy that's going to create economic growth. Those are where the solutions lie, not undermining the health, well-being, and future of our women and our children and America's prosperity. I now yield the floor back to my colleague from California.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.